Welcome everyone to Graduate Student Orientation for Fall 2024. My name is Jennifer Skiza and I'm the Interim Director of Graduate Studies at CMU. My office is in Faust Hall, room 131. If you ever have a question, you can reach out using either email or you can come to our office hours that we have with the director each month, which are posted on our website. Today, we want to give you a little background about graduate programs at CMU and give you some practical tips so you can be off to a great start this semester. You might be wondering, how many graduate students do we have at CMU? And you can see here that we have over 3,600 graduate students. Most are on campus, but many are also involved in online or off-campus programs. The majority of our graduate students are going to be working towards a master's, specialist, or certificate program, and we also have doctoral students. Over 1,000 of our students are international students, and of our domestic or students from the United States, over 80% are from Michigan, with the remainder coming from other U.S. states. Our largest program at CMU for graduate programs is the Master of Science in Administration. Now, before we get into those practical tips, I just want to mention one hopefully kind of more philosophical tip, because I can still remember when I was getting started as a graduate student many years ago. It is a big transition from undergraduate. And so this is my little tip that I think helps us kind of maybe stay organized and make sure we're doing some long-term planning as well as taking care of all of those items on our to-do lists each day and each week. I think everyone knows that we're going to get those things done that are both important and urgent, like an assignment for class. And most of us don't usually get to those things on our lists that are not important and also not urgent, and that's okay. But where we can sometimes get into some trouble is by spending our time on items that are not important but seem urgent, like maybe a notification on your phone from email or text. And if we spend too much of our time on those items, it doesn't leave enough time for what's in the upper left quadrant, the items that are very important but not urgent. So this is important for that long-term planning, and we want to make sure that you are doing everything you can to complete your program in the amount of time that you want to complete that program. And long-term planning is going to be important for that. So that's just one little tip I wanted to share before we get to some practical information. So where do you get help? First of all, your program and department really needs to be the first place you go when you have questions. Definitely they're going to have specific answers for you, and they should be able to answer most of your questions. But our office is also here in case your program or department doesn't have those answers. You want to make sure you know who your advisor is by the first week of class, which is coming right up. And you want to know who this advisor is so you can ask questions about which classes should I be registered in. And we're going to talk more about those courses in just a few slides. Your advisor may be someone called a program advisor if you're in a professional program. And again, this is the person who's going to help you with choosing the right classes in the right order and making sure you're staying on track. You might be in a more research-based program where you're writing a thesis or a dissertation. And in that case, the person to be asking about coursework and a lot of your questions might be your research advisor. This person might also call themselves your mentor or your committee chair. They're going to guide your research projects, but they can also be involved in choosing classes and making sure you're staying on track. One helpful tool we have that's online is Degree Progress. So in your portal, when you log into CMIsh and you see this basic page, in that lower right, in the quick links for students, you can see Degree Progress. And this is the tool where you can, with your advisor, plan out your classes. It's going to show you in a nice visual kind of graphic way which courses are still needed to complete your degree. And you can also, just as a reminder, work with that advisor to sometimes change concentrations within your program and to pick elective courses. Many programs have some flexibility in terms of which electives to take or possibly changing concentrations. So that's a good thing to know, and you can just ask your advisor when you have those kinds of questions. This is not the same as changing programs. To change to a completely different program, you would need to apply, just like you did to get admitted to your current program. Our website has lots of great information. This QR code and the URL is right here on this slide. So if you have a question, please come to our website. I gave you a quick screenshot there. You can see some of the resources and the types of information that we have So a lot of times students forget to come to the Grad Studies website, so we just want to encourage you to remember it's there and check there for lots of helpful information as well as fun events that we're going to talk about. So in general, I've kind of emphasized that you need to know who your program advisor is and that your program and department are going to be able to help you the most. So what does our office do? Well, we do try to help all of the graduate students here at CMU, and the ways we do that are by awarding student grants that Kara Owens, our assistant director, is going to talk about more in just a minute. We also host a variety of social events and professional development workshops and something called the 3-minute thesis competition. And we'll talk more about that throughout the year, and we'll be sending out emails to you to encourage you to participate. And we also answer grad student questions or advisor questions about policies. And this is definitely something that we'll spend a little bit of time talking about in this presentation today. There are many policies, and again, encourage you to look at our website. It has, under the forms link, a lot of information about those policies, as well as the graduate bulletin.
So our student events, we try to provide some opportunities for our graduate students to meet other graduate students in areas that are different from their own. And so we hold a couple different events each semester. This fall semester we'll be holding a tailgate at a CMU home football game. And then we'll also be doing a trivia night at a local restaurant, Hunter's Ale House. And at these events, again, there is free food, so we hope you will put them on your calendar. And as always, you can find more information on our website. So I am going to speak about a few policies that apply to graduate students. And sometimes these policies might seem a little dull at times. However, they can be really important and impactful for our graduate students. So if you ever have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out to our office if you have questions, or again, your program advisor can likely have helpful information for you as well. The maximum number of graduate credit hours that a grad student can take is 15 credits per semester. Some programs have their students taking more. Those are typically programs in the health professions areas, but for our typical graduate student, the maximum is 15 hours. Now, your program might offer 1 credit or even 4 credit hours courses, and sometimes that can alter the sum total of your course load for that semester. So we do have an academic load policy exception form, again on our website, where you can request to register for 16, 17, even 18 credits in any given semester. All of our forms on our website, including the ones for our student grants, are done through DocuSign, which is a really helpful program where you don't have to track anyone down on campus to get a signature. You just fill in names, emails, fill out the form, and the system does the rest. It pursues those people to get the required signatures and then routes your completed form to Graduate Studies. One other thing that can affect your course load is whether or not you have a GA position. GAs on campus are required to be registered for at least 6 graduate credit hours each fall and spring semester that they hold that GA position. Now, the number of credit hours that are covered by your GA depends. So ask your advisor, or it should have also been outlined in your contract letter that was sent to you by Faculty Personnel Services. That is the office that handles all of the details related to your GA position. So if you have any questions, that is the best office to contact. For our international students, they're typically required to be registered for at least 9 graduate credit hours. If you have questions, if you're an international student and you're wondering if your GA will allow you to be registered for just 6, please reach out to the International Student Services Office. They are the experts with our international students, and they know exactly what your visa will allow as far as the number of credit hours that you need to take. And for our graduate students that are getting financial aid, many times there is a requirement that they be registered for a minimum number of credit hours. That's typically 9 credits, but if you ever have any questions on that, please reach out to the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid. They are the experts in that area, and they'll be able to answer your question. You may be coming to CMU with past graduate level coursework. If so, then you might be able to use some of that past coursework toward your current degree here at CMU. So if you have taken previous coursework, CMU's policy is that graduate students can use a maximum of 50% from previous credits on their current degree. CMU also is open to the possibility of double counting those credits, meaning those past credits you may have used to already earn a degree, a graduate degree, or not. Either way, they could be used here at CMU. One point of emphasis is that you really, really need to reach out to your advisor. These decisions are program level decisions about what they will allow to transfer and how much. If you are moving from CMU really tries to encourage students to move from a graduate certificate toward a master's. So when it comes to double counting, keep that in mind. When you're moving from a certificate to a master's or a master's to a master's, that 50% rule applies. But one important note is if you are looking to earn your master's and then earn a graduate certificate, you can only double count 33% of that graduate certificate from previously earned credits. If you are coming into CMU with previous experience in your field already, and you're looking through your courses and you think that there might be a course or maybe even 2 that you've already had significant experience in, reach out to your advisor and see if a credit by exam is possible for that course. Credit by exam is where a graduate student will pay a $50 per credit hour fee, take a exam that covers the cumulative or the comprehensive content of that course, and if they pass that exam, they earn the credit in that course instead of taking a 8-week course or a 16-week course in order to earn those credits. Again, all of these are completely program decisions, so please reach out to your advisor with any questions. The other thing that's important for you to know as graduate students is that you really need to keep your cumulative graduate GPA at least a 3.0. If your GPA falls below a 3.0, you are then considered to be on academic probation, and you have 2 semesters to raise that GPA to the 3.0. It's very important to know whether or not you were admitted with stipulations. To know that, please go back and look at your admissions letter. If you were admitted with stipulations, the stipulations will be noted in that admission letter. The most common stipulation is that you would need to earn a 3.0 in your first 2 or 3 courses of your program. That's important to know because if you do not meet those stipulations, you can be dismissed from CMU immediately, whereas a graduate student that was not admitted with stipulations will have 2 semesters to raise their GPA. If you end up having a course that you just do not perform well in, we do allow graduate students to retake courses in their graduate program, and CMU allows grad students up to 2 retakes for that initial class. Again, most programs will have a handbook for you, so please read through your program handbook to see if there are program requirements that are different than this. CMU also has a time to complete requirement, and that time to complete degree requirement is that masters and specialists, as well as grad certificate students, must graduate with that degree within 7 years of when they started taking courses. For doctoral degrees or PhDs, that student will need to earn that degree within 8 years if they are coming to CMU with a previous master's degree. If they're coming to CMU without a previous master's degree, then they will need to earn that doctoral degree within 10 years. This is really important to know, and because right now as you begin your graduate program, you're probably not thinking that this program is going to take you 7 years or 8 years or even 10 years, but it's amazing how life happens sometimes. So please keep this in mind. If you end up exceeding this time to complete requirement, your options are to retake the courses that have expired, or CMU does offer an extension of time. This is for students who have had extenuating circumstances. These are things like military deployment, or they have had circumstances where they would have been eligible for an FMLA leave from an employer. Those types of situations are considered extenuating and would make that student eligible for an extension of time as long as they've stayed current in the content of those courses. So it's important that you don't plan on getting an extension of time, but that you plan on finishing your degree within the time frame above. And now I'm going to pass it back to Jennifer.
All right, I want to say just a few words about academic integrity. So you're probably familiar with academic integrity policies from your previous institution. Here at CMU, it's very important to follow any rules and guidelines that are spelled out on each course syllabus, and these may vary from course to course. So definitely read those course syllabi very carefully and make sure you know whether it's okay to work with other students and collaborate, or if that's not approved. So you want to avoid those unapproved collaborations. At CMU, we do not allow students to upload material to third-party websites like Chegg or Course Hero. That would be a violation of academic integrity policies, and you can get into some troubles if you don't follow these policies. Some of your professors may have on that syllabus different kinds of devices that are either okay and approved to use or not approved. Again, just make sure you're following those guidelines. And it's important to avoid plagiarism. And I'm going to say a few more words about this on the next slide. The QR code on this slide is just a convenient link to several important student policies, including our academic integrity policy. Okay, so in terms of writing and also just generating perhaps code or other kinds of products, first I want to talk about the use of AI, right? So artificial intelligence tools are really common, and we all know about them now. And it's important for you to know that our academic integrity policy does not allow you to submit text or any other products generated by any AI tools as your own original work. So again, it's important to know what the guidelines are from an instructor in each course, whether or not the use of these AI tools or other platforms are allowed or appropriate in any way. Because of course, sometimes they might be allowed or even required. So again, make sure you have a good understanding and ask questions if you're not sure. Plagiarism is also an issue that occurs sometimes on our campus, and so we want to make sure that you understand the rules here at Central Michigan University. We want to make sure that you are submitting work that you're explaining in your own words, right? So if your professor is asking you to explain an answer to a question in your own words, that means you cannot submit published work right? You can't just use verbatim the exact phrases and sentences that you find in an article and pretend that that's your answer, right? So again, it really is very important to know what the specifics are in that assignment. Plagiarism also comes up in our office because we review every thesis and dissertation for plagiarism issues. Every university does this. We use a tool called Authenticate, which is a very thorough tool that identifies any issues, and when there's similarities between or exact phrasing that's exactly what you've put in your thesis or dissertation and that's already been published, we're going to ask you to make changes. And of course, overall, you just want to use proper citations for anything that you're drawing from published work. Direct quotations can be really helpful. If you just know that how that person said it in that article is just the perfect way to say it, then just use those direct quotes and then also cite the source that you used. Okay, so bottom line, paraphrasing and putting things in your own words is really important. And just again, a reminder that we've already mentioned, but it is applying to writing kinds of assignments as well, that you don't want to use another student's work or share your work with a student, because that's also a way that you can run into plagiarism problems. All right, so just a little bit more information for those of you in programs where you are working on a Plan A master's degree or a doctoral degree where you have a research project. Okay, so we have a new document on our website that has some great tips and sort of the steps that you want to follow when you're getting started on this research project. And it's important to know what can happen and what cannot happen before your prospectus is approved. So the prospectus is basically your proposal for this research project, and you're going to get help with all of this from your advisor. The first thing to know is that you really need to make a plan, because you can only register for a maximum of 3 thesis credits or 6 dissertation credits prior to the approval of your prospectus. And we do see that students sometimes run into a problem where they want to be able to register for more of the thesis or dissertation credits, but they haven't yet completed that prospectus. So making a timeline at the beginning is really helpful. You also need to determine if you need review board approvals. So sometimes research work and projects require work with humans, so then you might need IRB approval. Or if you're working with certain types of animals, you'll need approval from a committee called the IACUC committee. And if you work with recombinant DNA, you'll need IBC approval. These approvals do take time to get, and you'll need these approvals before we can approve your prospectus. You'll also need to know the members of your committee. So the committee is going to be composed of usually your main advisor, your mentor, and then at least one more CMU faculty member who has graduate research faculty status. And then the third member can either be someone at CMU or someone from another university. So your advisor is going to help you determine what the best composition is. So once you have all of this information and you know what your project is going to be, then you'll be ready to submit that prospectus. And again, this is the plan to do the project, and you need to submit the prospectus before you start the project. So we have a great document on our website, and it also explains how exactly to submit the prospectus with that link for that DocuSign type submission process. We also have the guidelines for the thesis and dissertation, which of course comes at the end, so we won't talk about that today. Really successful semester. Hopefully some of this information in our presentation today was helpful, and fire up chips.